Godfrey is here again to take you through paper 2 as we promised when we were doing paper 1. I told you that very soon I'll be back for paper 2 and we proceed. So here I come today for paper 2, and then this paper 2 is also for the same year, which is 2023. Remember, paper 2 is basically economic geography and settlement, then plus map work. Okay. So I'll take you straight to the question papers, or to the questions, directly to the questions. I will straight disregard the instructions for now, but please, when you're writing your final examination, don't forget that you're supposed to go through the instructions. Okay. Section A, rural, urban settlement, rural and urban settlements, and the economic geography of South Africa. First question is rural and urban settlement. Okay. The first question says, various options are provided as possible answers to the following questions. Choose the answer and write only letter A to D next to the question numbers 1.1.1 to 1.1.8 in the answer booklet. For example, 1.1.9 D. So you just need to write something like that. All right. We're looking at 1.1.1. That's where we start from. The rural settlement pattern shown below is rural. They said rural settlement pattern shown below. We are looking at the pattern. Remember, when you talk about pattern, we are only concentrating on two aspects, and that is nucleated and dispersed. Okay, so that is where our concentration will be when we talk about rural, when you talk about patterns. Okay, so that means circular and linear are out. So we are going to consider these two. But I'm saying the rural settlement pattern shown below is which one? We have here an isolated farmstead or a farmstead. And you can see that they are far away from each other. So if the settlements are far away from each other, we say it is dispersed. Therefore, it becomes C. So 1.1.2, nucleated rural settlements are associated with nucleated rural settlement are associated with, you go and look at the options. They said nucleated. That means when people are close to each other in a rural area. What are they associated with? Extensive farming. Of course, it can't be extensive. Extensive means large piece of land. There is no way if people are concentrated to close to each other, you can have free land or extensive land. So that one is out. Fragmented land. So if the land is fragmented, it means it's broken into pieces. Monoculture, that is practice of growing one type of crop, and use of bulk machinery. That one is also out. So the answer is B. Okay. The situation of a settlement is, what is a situation? Remember, we look at the settlement in relation to the surrounding area. So when you look at a settlement in relation to the surrounding area, obviously the answer is going to be C. Okay. An economic factor, economic. You see the gist of the point of the question. It says economic. And then they talk about economic. That means you're looking at the economic situation that influences a situation of a rural settlement. So if it's economic, of these ones, which one is economic factor? Fertile soil, microclimate, gentle, and local market. The answer is going to be D, because this is physical, this is physical, this is physical. This is now economic. Okay. We proceed. 1.1.5. 1.1.5. Dash is a social factor. Social, meaning something that affects people's lives directly. The safety, rainfall, markets, topography. This is physical. This is economic. This is physical. The only social factor is safety. So that becomes A. Okay. A settlement below is described as, what is it? A settlement below. There is a lake here, and there are settlements around the lake or that farmstead. So is it a wet point settlement that is nucleated, a dry point settlement that is nucleated, or a wet point settlement that is dispersed, a dry point settlement that is dispersed. The moment they say dispersed and dispersed, those ones are going to be out because this is not dispersed, this is concentrated. Okay, around one central place. So if a settlement is close to the water body, it's a wet point, not a dry point. Therefore, the answer here is A. Okay. That is the shape of the settlement below was influenced by the sea. So I think you have seen cities like Durban, how they are, which shape do they form. This is a semicircle. So that means if you draw this other side, it will form a complete circle, but it is a semicircle halfway. So it's C. All right, and last one under that topic, under that section, is the physical factor. The word is physical. Is the key point. Physical factor that influence the shape of a settlement below. Which physical? So we have the reef here, and we have a river here. These are farmsteads, these are roads. Okay, a road is not physical. Okay, let's see here. So there is a river, which is a perennial river, narrow valley, which is in between these reef mountains. So fertile soils, we cannot see them here, and gentle land is not even gentle. So the two factors, that is 2 and 1, are right. 2 and 1 is A. Go to the next question, which is 1.2 now. 1.2 is a classification of a settlement. Remember I told you that we don't need to look at the question before, we need to interpret the diagram first. So here is an isolated farmstead or a farmstead, a hamlet, a village, which is specifically rural settlement here, then town, city, metropolis, and a conurbation. And here the arrow is showing that increase in the range. It means we're looking at the distance the customers are willing to travel for the goods and services. So increase in the number of the functions, the size offers, they also increase as you're going up. Those I mean the functions. So here they decrease as you're going down, and they decrease in the range. Okay. And let's look at the questions. 1.2.1, settlement ranked according to function or population. When you look at that settlement, it's basically according to the function. What do they offer? Okay. Because when you say a settlement is according to population, is it looking at the population anyway? Okay. So this way, we look at the function. Remember, rural is unifunction and the other one is multifunction. So the answer is that one. A metropolis or a conurbation is made up of the city with independent town. A city with independent town. Obviously, it becomes a conurbation. A village or a town is the smallest urban settlement. Urban. So, smallest of the urban can't be a village. Obviously, it becomes a town. The range of a town or a city will be greater. The range of a town or a city will be greater. So, go with the city. That is the conurbation. Metropolis is the greater number of functions and size. Obviously, is a conurbation. And lastly, as the size of the settlement increases, the number of this type of settlement will decrease. As the size increases, the number of the settlements will decrease. The next one, we go to this diagram. Let's interpret it first. Okay. It's talking about rural-urban migration, which is the movement from rural areas to urban. The arrow is indicating it. Here, it shows that they are farm areas. Here, it showed the word CBD. They talk about problems faced by rural areas like farm killings, poverty, natural disasters, lack of job opportunities, and mechanization that has taken away people's jobs. Okay. So B is the higher wages, better services, security, and reliable source of food. In B, those are the pull, and the other one is the push. The first concept to be defined is rural urban migration. So this simply means the movement of people from where? From rural to urban. Movement of people from rural to urban areas. Next one says that identify one social push factor, pushing people away from the rural area. What is it? Push, but they want only social. That is identified in the factor push social factor in A. So when you look at A here, which one is social? Obviously, the one that affects people's life directly is poverty. Poverty. State two basic services that are more accessible in urban areas than rural areas. Two basic services. Like what? Better basic services. We can look at aspects like medical services. Okay. Medical services. Okay. Accessibility to running water. Accessibility to running water. Okay. Basic services like what? Better education. You can talk about better education. It's better in urban areas that makes them accessible. Okay. How can rural migration create challenges for the provision of housing in B? How can rural urban migration create challenges for the provision of housing in B? How does it create challenges? So it will mean that houses are going to be insufficient compared to the number of people. Houses will be insufficient compared to the number of people. You can also look at the fact that overcrowding, it will result into overcrowding. Overcrowding, it will result into overcrowding in the houses in urban areas due to frequent the influx of the people from rural areas. So you can supplement it. Okay, suggests two intervention strategies that can be implemented by to decrease the rural urban migration. In other words, what strategies can be put in place to ensure that rural urban migration is decreased? Okay, is decreased. Those strategies are going to be like provision of basic services to urban to rural areas, Then you can talk about aspects like industrial decentralization, industrial decentralization that is putting industries in areas where they've never existed. And we talk about infrastructural development, develop infrastructures in rural areas like roads, so on. Okay. Okay, we can also talk about improve the education or provision of education in the rural areas. basic education in the rural areas. So in other words, what can be done in rural areas to stop people from leaving rural areas to go to urban areas? Okay. We go to 1.4. 1.4 is referred to the sketch below of the photograph that show part of the area A in the rural urban fringe. Okay. What is a rural urban? Where is a rural urban fringe located? Where is it located? We say at the edge of the city or the periphery of the city. Where is the rural urban fringe located? Periphery of the city and rural area. Okay, the periphery of the urban areas and rural areas. Okay, that's where it can be located. State two economic activities in the photograph which are found in the urban fringe. Which economic activities? So that can be found in rural urban fringe. We can talk about manufacturing. Then you talk about agriculture, because I can see small farms, which we know as, you can categorize it under agriculture. How does the economic activity B benefit from being located to the rural urban fringe? This B here, how does it benefit from being rural urban fringe? So if it's there is enough space for expansion. So we'll say enough space for expansion of the industry, then precious parking space, as they are not congested like in urban areas. Then you can also talk about accessibility to the CBD and talk about accessibility to the CBD. Okay, how has the recent urban expansion of large cities changed the rural urban fringes? How has it changed the rural urban fringes? Okay, then we'll start there by looking at infrastructures for the building density has increased. The building density has increased. In the rural urban fringe, the building density has increased in the rural urban fringe. And we also talk about the land value, of rural urban areas, of rural urban fringe goes up or rises. Okay, we're looking at what recent changes of the rural urban fringe. How have they changed the rural urban fringe? When you look at this, then you will see that the space is limited. So many cities have developed the houses. Few major recent houses have developed in the rural urban fringe. Okay, because of that. 1.5. 1.5 is basically the informal settlement. Informal settlement in South Africa. We have to read this extract. Government reports suggest that between 2000 and 2001, informal settlements in South Africa increased from 300 to 2,180. The poverty levels in informal settlements are evident in the tiny spaces, overcrowding, and overlapping structures, conditions that create the conducive environment for the rapid spread of diseases. The human settlement sector set a target of providing housing with basic services to 400,000 informal settlement households by 2018. According to the government report and settlement, the target have not been met. First question. Give one characteristics of the uh, settlements visible in the photograph. What do you see? Which kind of settlement? Small or medium houses. That is one. When you look at them, these houses are also close to each other. There is limited space for expansion. Then you can see the materials used to build these houses are not that high class materials. So we can say collocated materials are being used to build such houses. Okay, there is no well developed or well structured infrastructures. Okay, in that it's not a clear infrastructure and so on and so forth. So I want us to outline them down here, but they say they want one. So you can say medium or small houses or small houses are built. Okay, the building density, we can talk about small houses are built and no proper roads accessing the area. Okay, then you can talk about houses built close to each other. Then you can also talk about a lot of things, but they only need one. So you choose any of those ones. Okay, state to negative social impact of informal settlement in the extract. In the extract, what are the social negative impact? Have aspects like rapid spread of diseases, rapid spread of diseases, that is informal. Okay, that is social negative impact. Then you also have high poverty levels, high poverty levels. That is also social. You can talk about overcrowding. That is also social, but they need two anyway. Give two economic reasons for the rapid increase of socials. Why are they increasing, but they're only looking for economic? So we can say lack of income. Okay. Then there is high rate of unemployment. All those ones can be economic. And the last section under that question one is in the paragraph of approximately 8 lines. Explain why the government has failed to assist the communities living in informal settlement. Why do you think the government? Remember, learners, you write this in a paragraph question, but I'll outline them for you. However, the points you're writing in the paragraph, it should be a point that makes sense. Okay. So why do you think the government has failed? Number one, they are greatly increasing. So the informal settlement and informal settlements are rapidly increasing. So they are becoming too many, which makes it so hard for the government. Then you can also look at the fact that high corruption in the government. So people can't afford buying proper houses or getting proper houses. They end up having informal structures because of the corruption that is existing. Then you can also have inadequate statistics about the informal settlements. We don't have enough statistics or data to base on to say they are 10, they are 20, but they are ever increasing. That's why it's like that. Then you can also look at the fact that government lacks enough funding, limited or inadequate funds. Inadequate funds from the government. The government is not having enough money to do all that. So if you're to build for everyone, you have to spend billions and billions of money and trillions of money to ensure that everyone gets such assistance. So you can look at that and make a paragraph. Okay. We go to question 2. Question 2, we are also just choosing which one is the right. 2.1.1, manufacturing is an example of which one? It's manufacturing. Obviously, it is secondary. Light industry generally located close to the CBD, away from the residential area, near the raw materials, and near the bulk raw materials. So all these ones are wrong. The only option is A. Okay, 2, 3. 2, 3. We're looking at 2.3. 2.3. An iron and steel plant is an example of which kind of industry? Is it a footloose, break of bulk, raw material oriented, or market oriented? So that 2.13, I feel the answer is C. Okay, the sketch below is that an example of which kind of industry? We're looking at this sketch 2.4. So 2.4, I feel this is a bridge because it is change from one mode of transport to another, because these are this is like a truck on the road. This is from offloading from the containers and so on and so forth. This model is like B, which is bridge, which is the break of bulk. Okay. A bakery is an example of which kind of industry? This is what we call a market oriented, because you have to locate them close the market as bread gets, or those bakery and the bakery products get spoiled so quickly. Okay, 2.6. This illustration below is an example of which it's Wi-Fi, internet. This is what? This is ubiquitous, which is D. Remember how we say they can be anywhere so long as there is market. Okay. An oil refinery is an example of which kind of industry? Oil refinery, that is heavy industry, which is B. Okay. Heavy industries are characterized by, let's check, high level of air pollution. Obviously, that is true. So wherever there is one, it can be right. So this and this is okay, and this one, but this one is out because it is only having 2 and 3. There must be a high level of air pollution. So the second one is their location on small land. That one is out. So wherever there is 2, it's out. So that means we eliminate this. Okay. And we eliminate, this one is already eliminated. So what are we remaining with? With D and what? And B. So if it's D and B, let's go to the next one. This one says their location close to bulky transport. That is true. And low levels of noise pollution. No, they have high level of noise pollution. So it should be 2 and 3. 2 and 3 is D. Okay. We go down. We say choose the terms that match with the description. Exchange of goods and services between countries. That is Y, which is international trade. Unfavorable balance of trade. What does it do? That means if it's unfavorable, there is more import than what? Than export. So 222 is Z. It increases unemployment. So goods which are brought from another country, are they exports or they are import? Obviously, they are imports. Okay. 24, benefits of international trade, access to foreign currency and decrease in investment. It's a benefit. Decrease cannot be a benefit. So the answer is obviously the Y. Activities of the tertiary sector. Which activity? Transport and trade. Construction is secondary. So we take Y here. Okay. 2.6, an efficient public transport system. Public transport system increases economic cost or increases production. Does it increase economic cost? No, if it is efficient, why can it increase economic cost? Obviously, it will have to increase production. The difference in the value between the country's imports and exports, that is obviously the balance of trade, is the country's imports and exports. Not what you pay for those imports, but what is coming in. So we have 2.3, which is referring to sugarcane production. It's an infograph. So we have to read it and we interpret the corresponding, the necessary diagrams that are there. Okay, so they say sugarcane farming. Although the physical factors on the east coast of South Africa are conducive to sugarcane growing or farming, the production has decreased. In 2 decades, the country's annual sugar production has shrunk by nearly 25%. The number of sugarcane farmers decreased by 60%. Many South African towns and rural villages would crumble as they are either partly or entirely dependent on the sugarcane farming. Demand for sugar is in the Southern African Customs Union has dropped from 1.65 million tons to 1.25 million tons a year, forcing South Africa to decrease its exports to the global market. So we see here the eastern side of South Africa with the province here, Mpumalanga, KZN. Now it's Durban here as a city. The first importance is creation of employment. Since they're barely or entirely or partly depending on sugarcane growing. So there is creation of what? Of employment. That is one. Remember, it's 2 times 2. So besides creation of employment, you can say provision of food, or let me say development of industries. Development of industries. Then we can also talk about provision of raw materials. Okay, to industries. It provides raw materials. So the sugarcane farming provides raw materials to the industries. Provision of raw materials. Okay, I'm just writing many, but you need a few. That is in the agro-based industries. Okay, then you can also talk about development of infrastructures, encouraging exports and imports, etc. But you only need 2 according to the mark allocation. So explain 3 economic factors that have negatively impact on sugarcane production in South Africa. Economic factors. Which economic factors that have negatively impact on sugarcane growing production in South Africa? They are looking at negative impact, but they only look at economic factors. So those economic factors, first of all, we have drop in demand according to the extract, drop in demand for sugarcane in the Southern Africa. So that means that is economic. There is no demand. Okay. Then you also look at aspects like loss of sales to sugar tax, loss of sales to sugar tax, loss of sales to sugar tax. Then you can talk about labor strikes. Those are all economic negative impact on sugarcane production. So labor strikes, that reduces the amount of workers that are going to be in the sugarcane production. And this result and lead to disinvestment from South Africa. So people won't want to invest in the country. 2.4. Refer to the map extract below about Maputo Corridor Spatial Development Initiative. This is the SDI. Here we go. This is Johannesburg. It shows you Middelburg, Secunda, ML, Swaziland, Maputo, whatever. You can interpret Tanzania. There are very many aspects here, countries. But there is Maputo. First of all, what do we need to note? Johannesburg is part of South Africa, which is here. Okay, Maputo is part of Mozambique. Let's look at the extract that is provided below. If you're driving by road from Johannesburg to Maputo, is 581 kilometers. If you're going by railway transport from Johannesburg to Maputo, is 590 kilometers. Okay. The first thing is the Maputo Corridor was launched as a Spatial Development Initiative, SDI, in 1996, as the governments of South Africa and Mozambique initially sought to rebuild their economies and restore trade and investment ties. Both governments agreed on enormous potential benefits of rehabilitating the key elements of this vital strategic transport corridor, which links the port of Maputo with Africa's most vibrant economic hub, the city of Johannesburg. This Spatial Development Initiative was the means chosen to maximize investment in the potential of the Maputo corridor and fulfill the aims of sustainable economic and social development along its length and surrounding areas. Okay. So that is just supplementing the diagram above. First question, which country is linked to South Africa by Maputo Corridor Spatial Development Initiative? Obviously, the answer is anywhere here. Okay, Mozambique. So we say Mozambique. Okay. What was the initial aim of launching the Maputo Corridor? Initial aim of launching the Maputo Spatial Development Initiative, as stated in the extract. I think choose to maximize investments. Okay, so we can say here to rebuild, here it is written to rebuild their economies and restore the trade investment. So we shall say here, it's one mark, to rebuild their economies, and restore trade and investments. Restore trade and investments. Okay. Name one core industrial region that will benefit most from the Maputo Corridor. One core industrial region. Since we are talking about Johannesburg and all that, the only core industrial region is PWD, which is Pretoria, Witwatersrand, and Vereeniging. Pretoria, Witwatersrand, and Vereeniging. Okay, 2.44. How will the Maputo Spatial Development Initiative create business opportunities for underdeveloped communities along the corridor? How will the Maputo Corridor, that spatial initiative, create business opportunities? Okay, it will attract investors because there are well roads developed in terms of infrastructures, and if investors come in, they will help to develop the underdeveloped communities to its potential. So attract investors to come to the region or to the countries. Okay, that is one. Then it will also help to improve infrastructural development. Like roads, that are going to be built like that corridor N4. When you look at is it N4 or N14? Yeah, sorry, N14. That is basically built linking those different areas. Okay, N14. Then you can look at other aspects like it will effectively allow full utilization of the available resources, effectively contribute to full utilization of the available resources, available natural resources. So they will be basically used because of the road so that they can get out the effective use of those resources. Lastly, under this section is that in the paragraph of approximately 8 lines, it's a paragraph question now. Here, explain how upgrading of the different types of infrastructures positively impact on trade for the core industrial region mentioned above. So if they upgrade the different types of infrastructures, say roads, schools, hospitals, and everything, how will it positively impact on trade for the core region? Okay, it will positively impact on trade in one way or the other. Number one, it will improve accessibility. The area will be easily accessed. So if the roads are upgraded, infrastructure is well built, so the area would be easily accessed. Okay, that's number one. And therefore, due to this, efficiency and production will increase. Increase in production. So how will production increase? Production will increase because roads are upgraded, infrastructures are upgraded, and therefore this will have a positive impact on this region as production will increase in this region because people will be coming through and in and out. So it will also make it easier for investors. It will attract investors in the region because the region is clearly well accessed because of the different infrastructure that are built, and that will allow to improve investments. Okay, so we can also say that trade with other, or it will promote trade with other countries or regions will easily be promoted. Why? The area is well developed, production has increased, therefore people will easily use or trade with those areas, and that will improve development. It will boost tourism in the area. Boost tourism in the area. All those ones are benefits that you can write in a paragraph format. You'll excuse me for my handwriting, but I'll improve over time. 2.5. Refer to the cartoon and extract below, which is on informal trading in defense of South Africa's informal sector. Here is a cartoon. The police officer is coming to someone who is selling, maybe on the street. Then he's saying, "Do you have a permit?" The lady is replying, "No, I can't afford it." Obviously, it simply means she's not having a permit. A shadow economy. Some call the informal sector the shadow economy. They also complain about the lack of tax paid by the informal sector. So many of our vendors are trading without permits and are subject to regular raids by the city's law enforcement, during which their goods are seized and fines are issued. They claim that official employment data underestimates the informal sector is based on the assumption that many people who undertake activities in the informal sector are mistakenly counted as unemployed because there is no proper data, or the employment data that is given is is underestimated. Okay, the vast majority of the informal operators, 73%, earn well below the income tax, tax threshold of 79,000 per annum set by the South African Revenue Services. In addition, many informal sector workers, and particularly those in retail, pay VAT on their purchases. So what is a shadow economy? The contribution is not known. It means there's no proper data. We don't see their contribution generally. 2.5. Give the other name for the informal sector. Shadow economy. Shadow economy. Okay. Why does the trader in the cartoon not have a permit? Why does the trader in the cartoon not have a permit? Why do they not have a permit? She doesn't have a permit because, according to her in the extract, she says, no, I can't afford it. So if she can't afford, that's why she's not having. So the question is, why is she not having a permit? She's not having a permit because she can't afford it. Can't afford it. Okay. Quote one consequence from the extract for the trader who does not have a permit. Somewhere it is written that their goods are seized and fines are issued. So the question is saying, give one consequence from the extract for the trader. So these vendors are trading without permits and are subject to regular raids by the city's law enforcement, during which their goods are seized. So under that means besides the raids, goods are seized and fines are issued. Okay, goods are seized and fines are issued. Okay, why are people in the informal sector mistakenly referred to as unemployed? Why do they mistakenly refer to them unemployed? So the claim is that official employment data underestimates the informal sector is based on the assumption that many people who undertake this activity in the informal sector are mistakenly counted as unemployed. So that means there's no proper data. Okay. Because the official employment data underestimates them. Why these people are unemployed? Official data underestimates them. Official employment data underestimates them. Estimates them. Okay, underestimates them. How does the economy benefit from the informal sector? How do they benefit? First of all, employment, creation of employment. So they benefit because they are employed. Creation of employment, that is one benefit. Besides that one benefit, these people also pay tax. They pay VAT. They pay VAT on their purchases. They pay VAT on their purchases. Okay. On top of that, you can have others selling of cheap goods to the people or making goods accessible to the people, etc. 2.5 suggests 3 incentives that the government can provide to regulate the informal sector. What can the government do? So we say building formal stores for the traders. So they should build stores for them where they can put them such that they can be regulated, or they can regulate this informal sector. Okay. So we have seen that in the cartoon somewhere there, she said she can't afford. That means it is expensive. So what can we say? The government can subsidize the permits. So let them put permits on raw costs so that everyone can easily have it, as they will be in position to access it. Okay. Then we can say, remember, there are not enough toilets for these people. What can they do? Build public toilets in the areas where the informal businesses are existing. Okay. Then we can also talk about the issue of encouraging, educate them, and encourage them to formalize their businesses. Maybe some of them do not know. Okay. Then you can also through. So that marks the end of our question 1 and 2. Unfortunately, I couldn't do this section B because I'm sorry for that, but I will let you know when I'm going to do the section of map work. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.
Recording stopped.
So when the recording, I stopped it.